Hey everyone, it's Klein and this is ClayChoices, the series where I combine my love for clay and choices because
Yes.
in this second episode, I wanted to feature one of my favorite series that I wish Pixelberry made more books about, and that is the Elementalists. So in this video, I chose to make the magical companion that's called Gorgue. I don't know, but luckily, if you picked this familiar, then you know that we're all forced to call him Tim anyway. I'm starting by just prepping the clay that I'll use as a base. I decided to mix white and some beige clay to make this light color, similar to Tim's underbelly. Now I'm slicing this small piece of gray clay into two and rolling them to make a pair of eyes. Next, we're going to sculpt the body, and I'm gonna try my best to explain how this works. Start with a ball, then shape half of it into a smooth, oblique pyramid, then push the front of the body upwards. Pinch two little hills on top of the head to make some eyebrows. Well, here we go again, they're not really eyebrows, but you know. Gently squish the upper part flat to make a head, and do some adjustments until the shape somewhat resembles a frog and you're happy with it. Using a dotting tool, mark the place where the eyes will be embedded. Then use any tools you have available to carefully place the eyes inside. By the way, maybe you noticed that I didn't include dimensions to this, unlike my Uwu miniature. That's because I don't remember any exact mentions of how big or small this stage of Tim could be. I also checked the wiki and didn't really see any information about its size other than the fact that it looks like a rock. I mean, are we talking about a pebble or the rock? I don't know. And besides, the MC has a spell to resize objects, so in the end, I had no reason to worry about accuracy and just estimated everything. Now it's really just a matter of patience as I keep on pinching and using tools to sculpt. However, I made sure to emphasize the valley between the eyes and the cheeks, because this is a really happy frog. So now, I'm using a crafting knife and a flat tool to carve a smile, and adding some nostrils, and making some more adjustments with my needle tool. And then, I'm using a Q-tip with the alcohol to not only clean the surface, but also smooth it out. It's time to add some front limbs. I rolled and cut two equal logs and stuck them right below the head using liquid Sculpey. I bent them inwards and used a tool to blend them with the body. Now, I'm adding a thinner piece of clay to make Tim look as swole as the reference image, because for some reason, this frog looks like it works out a lot. Maybe Tim's
A love interest in the Gorgue world?
What am I talking about?
And here I'm just adding some lines and creases for added detail. After that, it's time for the legs. These limbs are much longer than the ones at the front. I actually struggled a lot with this because, after all, the only images we have of Tim are front-facing. So I spent a weird amount of time just staring at frog and toad legs on the internet. But I kept on moving things around until it looked acceptable to me. At this point, I was already so delirious, and I took a break by taking some weird B-rolls. Also, I was just stalling because the next step would be to make the frog toes, and I think any kind of hands or feet would be very difficult to make. So I made some tiny pancakes and cut it 3 times. I'm trimming down the toes and carving the nails. They're not really nails, I guess. Before I even got to sculpt this, I had an internal panic about how many toes a Gorgue has. At first, I thought it was 3, but that other one is 4, so I spent an unnecessary amount of time debating to myself about the number of digits a fictional frog has before I realized that, oh, I probably should have just researched real frog anatomy instead. And hey, that's when I learned that frogs have 4 toes for the front and 5 for the back. So now, I'm making the back feet, and the base shape was more of a footprint than a circle. And this time, I made 4 cuts. And again, added some nails. To connect these to the body, I'm using a mix of solid and liquid polymer clay because this consistency will make it less slippery. Now for the tail, I'm making a long and flat cone shape and using a ball tool to make some wavy ridges on the top. And I'm curving it to mimic the reference image. Now I'm using some tools and once again, a Q-tip with the alcohol to blend the tail to the body. For the last sculpting step, I'm using the leftover liquid clay mixture to fill in some gaps and cracks. And now it's time for painting. I'm using my acrylics and I'm darkening the green with a bit of blue to match Tim's color. I'm using some kind of technique that I don't know if there's a word for it, but I'm painting and lightly wiping it off because I want the pigment to seem a bit translucent and not just a solid opaque color. While I'm painting this, I just want to say that in reality, it took me 5 attempts to sculpt the body, 2 for the arms, 3 for the legs, and 5 for the toes. It was a really frustrating process, but when you're learning something new, whether it be a hobby or in academics, it's important to never give up and just believe that every mistake or obstacle you face will make you better if you're willing to learn from them. So, after that,
Unsolicited life advice?
I'm trying my best to draw a straight yellow line from the mouth to the tail. For the spots, I'm mixing the same green and some black, white, and brown to make this really dark and dull color. Time to randomly place it in varying sizes with a dotting tool. Lastly, I'm just using a needle to draw a black line for the pupils. So here's my finished Tim from the Elementalists. I'm pretty happy with the sculpture even though it doesn't look 100% like Tim. The colors ended up being quite bright, or maybe it's just the lighting, but that's okay. It really emphasized how cheerful this little dude looks. He kinda embodies the excitement that I feel for my next ClayChoices idea. The only hint I can give is, it's not gonna be a character. For now, let's just adore that smug little smile.
That's alright.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. I really appreciate the support, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here at Kleinbeld.